Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka Day. Today we will begin chapter 13, which is titled Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yogaha. And Srila Prabhupada translates this particular title to nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. So let's take a high level view of chapter 13 and then we will actually go to the shloka. So the chapter begins with Arjuna asking 6 questions, which is what is the difference, or can you define for me what is Kshetra and Kshetrajna? What is Jnana and Jnaya, and what is Prakriti and Purusha? And this Jnana Chakshu, where the chapter concludes, is Krishna offering what it means to see everything through the eyes of knowledge. Therefore, you can perceive reality beyond what your material sense may be able to look at. And Srila Prabhupada, as we said, translates this particular chapter as nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. So who's nature, who's the enjoyer, and who's consciousness? So nature here refers to material nature or Prakriti. The enjoyer here refers to Ishvara. The enjoyer also is the Jiva, but the Jiva falsely enjoys. And consciousness also refers both to Ishvara and Jiva. One is consciousness, one is supreme consciousness. So how did this title actually come about? So Arjuna's question is, what is Kshetra, Kshetrajna? What is Jnana, Jnana? What is Purusha and Prakriti? So if we see, there is consciousness in Jiva and consciousness in the Supreme Lord. Prakriti is not conscious. Kshetra is not conscious. Kshetrajna, the knower of the Kshetra, is conscious. Purusha is conscious. Jnaya, the person, the ultimate, the person who knows this knowledge, is also conscious. So there are 3 entities that has been talked about in this Tattvatraya, which is called Jiva, Jagadish, and Jagat. So Jagat here is Prakriti and Kshetra. Jiva could be both Purusha and Kshetrajna, and similarly Ishvara is Kshetrajna or Purusha. That is why Prabhupada has titled this chapter in that way. So this is Shloka 1 and 2, with Arjuna asking the 6 questions and Sri Krishna answering the questions. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva.
Kshetram Kshetrajnameva cha.
Kshetram Kshetrajnameva cha.
Etad Veditumichhami.
Etad Veditumichhami.
Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava.
Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Idam Shariram Kaunteya.
Idam Shariram Kaunteya.
Kshetram Ityabhidhiyate.
Kshetram ityabhidhiyate.
Etadyo Vettitam Prahuhu.
Etadhyo vettitam prahuhu.
Kshetrajna iti tadvidaha.
Kshetrajna iti tadvidaha.
Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna said,
Arjuna said,
Prakritim,
Prakritim,
nature,
nature,
Purusham,
Purusham,
the enjoyer,
the enjoyer,
Cha,
Cha,
also,
Eva,
certainly,
certainly,
Kshetram,
Kshetram.
the field.
The field.
Kshetrajnam,
Kshetragnam.
the knower of the field.
The knower of the field.
Eva,
Eva.
certainly.
Certainly.
Cha,
Cha.
also.
Also.
Etat,
Etat.
all this.
All this.
Veditum,
Veditum.
to understand.
To understand.
Ichchami,
Ichchami.
I wish.
I wish.
Jnanam,
Gnanam.
knowledge.
Knowledge.
Jneyam,
Gneyam.
the object of knowledge.
The object of knowledge.
Cha,
Cha.
also.
Also.
Keshava,
Keshava.
O Krishna.
O Krishna.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha,
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
the personality of Godhead said.
The personality of Godhead said,
Idam,
Idam.
this.
This.
Shariram,
Shariram.
body.
Body.
Kaunteya,
Kaunteya.
O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti.
Kshetram,
Kshetram.
the field.
The field.
Iti,
Iti.
thus.
Thus.
Abhidhiyate,
Abhidhiyate.
is called.
Is called.
Etat,
Etat.
this.
This.
Yaha,
Yah.
one who.
One who.
Veti,
Veti.
knows.
Knows.
Tam,
Tam.
he.
He.
Rahuhu,
Prahuhu.
is called.
Is called.
Kshetrajnaha,
Kshetrajnaha.
the knower of the field.
The knower of the field.
Iti,
Iti.
thus.
Thus.
Tatvidaha,
Tatvidaha.
by those who know this.
By those who know this.
Translation. Arjuna said,
Arjuna said,
O my dear Krishna,
O my dear Krishna,
I wish to know about Prakriti,
I wish to know about Prakriti, nature,
Purusha,
Purusha,
the enjoyer,
the enjoyer,
and the field and the knower of the field,
and the field and the knower of the field,
and of knowledge and the object of knowledge.
and of knowledge and the object of knowledge.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
this body, O son of Kunti,
this body, O son of Kunti,
is called the field,
is called the field,
and one who knows this body
and one who knows this body
is called the knower of the field.
is called the knower of the field.
Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad, Arjuna was inquisitive about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, Kshetra, the field, Kshetrajna, its knower, and knowledge and the object of knowledge. When he inquired about all these, Krishna said that his body is called the field, and that one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. This body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in material existence, and he attempts to lord it over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. So Prabhupada is explaining, depending on what your desires are, and of course your previous karma, you get a particular type of body that will help you dominate material nature. That field of activity is the body. And what is this? What is the body? The body is made of senses. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification. And according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body or field of activity. Therefore, the body is called Kshetra, or the field of activity for the conditioned soul. Now, the person who should not identify himself with the body is called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. Well, this is the soul, the Jivatma. The person who is manipulating the body to in turn manipulate material nature, is actually the knower of the body and the knower of material nature. But then, unfortunately, because the Kshetrajna is covered by conditioning, he tends to identify himself with the body. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body and yet is still one person remaining. Thus, there is a difference between the knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, Dehinosmin, that the living entity is within the body and that the body is changing from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth and from youth to old age. And the person who knows the body knows that the body is changing. There's a shloka in the second chapter, right? Vasamsi Jirnani. So Prabhupada is just repeating that here. The owner is distinctly Kshetrajna. Sometimes we think, I am happy, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are the bodily designations of the knower. But the knower is different from the body. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from the things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field of activities, and the body is called Kshetra, the field of activities itself. So, in the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, the knower of the body and the position which he can understand, the Supreme Lord, are described. In the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness, they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Lord in different capacities, as the distressed, those in want of money, the inquisitive, and those in search of knowledge. This is one more shloka, yes? Artharthi, Jignasa, and Jnani. That is also described. Now, starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and the discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. This also is explained. So the last 6 chapters, actually the last 5 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are about Prakriti and the 3 modes of material nature. How these 3 modes influence us in different ways, such that it determines what kind of sacrifices we perform, what kind of penances we keep, what kind of charity we do. So that is why the last few chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are called Jnana Yoga. So how from Jnana Yoga it can actually culminate in Bhakti Yoga is also explained. Where does Arjuna's question at the start of the 13th chapter come from? Because some of the books do not have this question, the 6 questions being asked by Arjuna. For example, the Gita Press version of the Bhagavad Gita will not have this question. So the chapter simply starts with Arjuna, with Sri Krishna defining these 6 terms. So at the start of the 13th chapter, Arjuna asks about 6 specific terms that Krishna hasn't referred to as a group anywhere else. To understand where this question comes from, we need to understand the Gita's broader structure. So His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is saying, suddenly why is Arjuna asking these 6 questions? Because these 6 terms have not been used earlier in the Bhagavad Gita. Kshetra, Kshetrajna. Jnaya has not been used. So, the core of the Gita, apart from its first chapter that describes its context, is a discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. It begins with a broad question by Arjuna in Sloka 7, whose answer by Krishna covers the Gita's entire narrative. Here, the Gita is driven by Krishna's train of thought. What is the question Arjuna is asking? Tell me what is the best thing for me to do, because I'm totally confused. So, in response to that, Krishna is covering the entire topic of the Bhagavad Gita. Here, the Gita is driven by Krishna's train of thought, which is intermittently interrupted with Arjuna's pertinent questions, which arise primarily from what Krishna has just spoken. So, ultimately, Krishna is responding to that one question asked by Arjuna in the 7th shloka of the 2nd chapter, but in between, Arjuna asks other questions also. So sometimes Arjuna may be interrupting the Lord's train of thought. This pattern continues till the Gita's 10th chapter, where Krishna speaks 4 verses which have come to be celebrated as the Chatur Shloke Gita, the Gita's 4-verse essence, which is shlokas 8 to 11. Then Arjuna echoes Krishna's words, accepting them wholeheartedly. From shlokas 12 to 15, when Arjuna says, yes, I've heard this from Narada Muni, Asita, Devala, Vedavyas, etc. Given Arjuna's acceptance, Krishna's discourse can, in one sense, be said to have ended here. So if Arjuna has accepted that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, then you could say the Bhagavad Gita could have concluded there. From this point onward, the Gita might be better understood as a question and answer session at the end of the discourse. It is driven by Arjuna's questions, which range over various topics. Most of Arjuna's questions are related to Krishna's words in the Gita's preceding sections. But a few of Arjuna's questions don't arise from the Gita's context. They are based on themes Arjuna has heard earlier in his life, themes that he wants to understand in the light of the Gita. Arjuna's questions in the 13th chapter fall in this latter category. Here, he wants to know about the system of Sankhya, within which these terms are common, and about how that system fits into Krishna's teachings in the Gita. So, in other words, the last 6 chapters are also called as Sankhya Yoga because it is about the analytical study of how Prakriti influences the Jivatma and what is the relationship between Prakriti, Jivatma, and Purusha. All of this is the context with which Arjuna is asking these questions, these 6 terms that Krishna is explaining to him.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.